Yo, yo, yo. I just got back a couple of submissions from PSA. I got some tickets back, some signed tickets back, and then some autos back. So they all came relatively quickly between each other, so I thought I would just do one combined video. It's probably about 25 items total, right around there. So we'll just get right into it. I've been getting more into tickets for anybody who watches my channel, which I know is few and far between, but I have found, the thrill of the hunt being a little bit more exciting than cards lately. Although I have still been buying some cards, but just right now, this is kind of where I'm at, and just enjoying the collecting more than, collecting tickets more than just buying cards. So anyway, first off is this Warren Spahn's last game as a Milwaukee Brave. That was from October of '64. My uncle was named after Warren Spahn, so I kind of chased some of his stuff when I can find it, and I mean any Milwaukee Brave stuff in general. So there's that one. And then next up, I've got Robin Yount's first Grand Slam. That came back as a 9. Pretty excited about that. I found that the Chicago White Sox tickets, for whatever reason, come back in pretty strong grades for everything that I've purchased from them, which is pretty cool. Keep your eye open for that if that's something that you're into. If they look nice and they present nice, it seems like that they grade pretty well. So one more item for my Robin Yount ticket chase. All right, next up here, I've got 3 tickets here of Mick Jones' last show with The Clash. He quit shortly after this after this show at the U.S. Festival in 1983. But I've got 3 of these, and I'm going to keep one for myself. I'll keep this 3 for myself, and then I'll move the 2 and the 1.5. But essentially, if you follow The Clash at all, Mick Jones wrote half the songs, and once they left, the band kind of fell off pretty hard. Their last couple albums weren't nearly as good as when he was with the band. So it was kind of the beginning of the end. So monumental ticket for that. And then let's keep going here. We'll do another Clash show right away. This is the ticket for when London Calling, the photo was taken. Currently, it's a Pop 1. Let me slide this up here so you can see that a little bit better. Currently, it's a Pop 1. I do know of a guy who found another one, which is in much nicer condition than mine, and it's currently at PSA. Mine came back as a 1 with a mark. There's a phone number right there, and apparently the story from the guy who had it originally, that he wrote that number down so you could buy drugs from the guy later after the show. So that was that. Kind of debated if I should just get that in an authentic. I mean, a 1 mark versus an authentic. I don't know. I think authentic just kind of comes off as a little bit better. But somebody let me know and what you would have done there. I've got another ticket coming up here in a minute that kind of in the same dilemma. Then I have this 1957 Braves Game 2. Putting a run together of the complete 1 through 7 of that World Series. I've got 1, 2, 3, and 4 graded. I have 6 and 7. And I have a 5. The 5 was my grandfather's, so that's matted on a display piece. I'm going to find another one. Pretty much, I just have to find another copy of 5, and then I'm going to send all 3 of them together, and I'll have the run. So it's been something that I've slowly put together over time if I just found I could find something for the right price and in a decent condition. I was surprised this one came back a 6. I don't know if it's the highest pop, but it's got to be right there. I do need to send it back in, though, however, because it was labeled as full, and it is a stub. So when I send those other ones in, I'll just send this one back in to get reholdered. PSA should just take care of all of that. I believe I just have to pay the shipping out there. I don't know if I have to pay the return on it or not because it was their mistake. But all things considered, having a 6 of a ticket from 57, it's pretty sharp. And yeah, that's it. So I think, did I say this is game 6? This is game 2. I just bought a game 6 raw. So next up, I've got 2 of these. 1989 Grateful Dead at the Alpine Valley Music Theater. This was the last time the Grateful Dead played in Wisconsin. They were banned from ever playing the Alpine Valley again, just because of the aftermath of all their shows. People wouldn't leave. People were camping out. There's too many people drunk or high or whatever the case may be. But it was just so they had some various like offshoots. The Jerry Garcia band played at Alpine Valley again. I believe Dead and Company played at Alpine Valley again, but the Grateful Dead with Jerry Garcia never played again at Alpine Valley. So yeah, pretty nice ticket here. You can see just a little bit of color or paper loss there, and on the back I think no, the back is actually pretty clean. So got that. Also got this one, and again, I think I should have gotten this as authentic because it actually presents pretty well in the case itself, but this one came back as a 1. I'd bought this from a lady. She put it in a hard plastic case, and when it arrived, the case was shattered, and you can see the rip here. It goes about halfway up, goes a little bit here, and then, like ends like right around here. And once it's, slabbed though, I think it actually looks pretty good. If I probably should have just got it as authentic, but instead it's a 1. On the back you can see the tear a little bit better. It was in a scrapbook. You can see some tape mark. So I don't know. Again, kind of curious on your opinion if there are any ticket people watching this, or if you're just watching it for kicks. Let me know what you think on that and what you might have done. All right, next up, the only person who cares about this one is me, but I did get it sent in, so I'm going to show it. I play in a band called Robits, and we got to play at this festival up in the UP of Michigan, and so we got to play at the Calumet Theater. Most of the shows that my band plays have, you either buy tickets at the door, you pay for a ticket online, and then your name is on a list once you show up. And or it's just free show, whatever the case may be. This is the first time I've ever played a show with a ticket involved, and so at the gate I got the ticket from the lady, and after she was kind of hesitant to give me one, I told her I wanted it just for my own personal collection, as a souvenir type thing. So on the back she had wrote souvenir on it. Now I think otherwise, it probably would have came back as a 10. It came back as a 9 mark. I didn't really care. It's just really cool to have that, my band is on there on the slab, and I don't know, just something I can just kind of, show off for my friends or family or whatever. All right. A couple more here of the unsigned tickets. I've got this 2023 Guardians against the White Sox, where Jose Ramirez got in a fight with Tim Anderson, and the announcer, whose name I can't recall, famously, instead of going down goes Frazier, yelled down goes Anderson a few times. If I had the editing skills to throw the video up, I certainly would, but I don't, and I guess I don't really have the patience or commitment to learn how to do that. Maybe I should. Maybe that would add a little bit of excitement to hear, but if you just go to YouTube and type in Ramirez Anderson, down goes Anderson, it's pretty good. So I'm surprised that this came back as a 7. I don't know if it's because of the print. There's a little bit down here that's kind of light, touch on the corners, but whatever. Tickets like this aren't really, I don't really necessarily chase grades on tickets. It's just good to have them. That all being said, I'm super stoked that I got both of these back in a 10. These were from OHTANI's 50-50 game. Now, what they had was, during that game, people bought actual tickets. Technically, this is a real ticket, not a commemorative. But as soon as he got that, the Marlins said, if you want to come buy a printed ticket, you can. So it's somewhere in the mix there, $25. Through somebody on the Boogers Facebook site, I was able to get 2 of these. Again, they both came back as 10, which is really great. And, they have a section number, 318. There's a seat in a row. This one, is seat 2, and row 2, seat 10. The other one is 9 and 10. So, actual tickets, but they were, purchased mid-game. If it would have been cool to get one, that somebody spent, $40 for and sat, field level or whatever the case may be. Those are obviously much harder to come by, as everything is for the most part now just digital. So the fact that they even had these was pretty sweet, and I've got a bunch of other OHTANI stuff, so I figured jump on this right away. I've got 2 of them. I'll keep one for myself. I'll move the other, trade the other, whatever the case may be, but that's all in due time. I'm debating if I should just maybe hold for a long time. I don't know. I know that there's probably a couple hundred that have been graded already. So, but he is OHTANI, and I think he's going to go down as one of the best. So, if not, he's already there. So, all right. Moving on then. Moving into some autograph tickets. I got this one came back as a return no holder, and I will tell you why. So. I mailed that off to Paul Molitor. That is his signature. He did put 3,000th hit. Here's the thing on these tickets, which I was not aware of at the time. So the date that he got his 3,000th hit was September 16th, 1996. However, the day that this ticket was printed, October 6th. So that being said, the ticket is more of a commemorative, and because of that, it's kind of, if you're new into tickets like I am, or was at the time, I didn't know that, and so the autograph is legit. I'll probably just get this reslabbed as just as a ticket, and move it from there. In the meantime, I'll try to hunt down one of his actual 3,000th hit tickets, and now I know better. So keep that in mind. I believe that the same thing happened with Tony Gwynn, because I've sent one off of his, and it was in Montreal, and I think the Expos printed a bunch afterwards as commemorative type tickets. And also, Cal Ripken Jr. got his 3,000th hit, and while I believe it's an actual ticket, they printed off a zillion that just said general admission, and I don't know if they gave those to employees or what the case is. But a couple of these monumental tickets are, basically don't have a whole lot of value to them because of the way that they were established, and that's, if I'm wrong on that, by all means let me know. I'm still learning, but from my understanding, that's how this worked. So, that is it for that one. So, moving on then, let's see. This is from Robin Yount's 3,000th hit. I was at that game, got that signed, came back as a 510. Yount's got one of the better signatures in baseball. It's always super clean. It's a fun signature to look at. It's like kind of playful. I don't know, the way that he writes it out. Almost like a cartoon kind of font. That just a lot of, big bold circles and loops and whatnot. So I love his signature. Moving on here, I got this through a lot of other George Brett signed stuff. This is his last game. 10 on the auto, which is great. Because there is like a touch of like a smudge or something there, but it still came out as a 10. Or actually, you know what? That's just the row. So the row is underneath that. He signed over it. Anyway, great signature, pretty great ticket. I'm holding on to this one for a while. I don't have any invested interest in George Brett necessarily. Obviously a great player, probably the greatest player to come out of Kansas City. And so, I know there's a big collector's, demand for probably this ticket. No idea what it would sell for, but super cool, and I'm happy to have it in my collection for the time being. All right. Next up, we have this 2006 Milwaukee Brewers Mother's Day walk-off home run of Bill Hall. So we don't have a lot. Milwaukee Brewers do not have a lot of great moments. But this is one of the most memorable, I think, for anybody in my age group. The Brewers were up and coming in 2006. Bill Hall was the starting shortstop at the time, but he kind of bounced all over. He played center field. He played second base. He could play third. I think later on even he did play first base for just a little bit. But anyway, he on Mother's Day, the first year that they had Mother's Day with the pink bats, he hit a walk-off with it. And I went to this game by myself, got a euchre ticket, which were $1 at the time. And I was able to creep up behind home plate and sneak in there, and the one empty seat that was behind home plate. And I went there mostly because Pedro Martinez was pitching that day, and he's my favorite pitcher of all time. So went to see that and then caught this. Bill Hall did a signing, and I was able to get that with the inscription. It came back as a 9 just because some of these swoops are not full. You can see how they're a little off there and there. But cool ticket. And one of my favorite games that I attended. So, all right, got a couple more signed ones here. I went to the induction ceremony of both Dennis Eckersley and Paul Molitor back in 2004. This was my ticket that I got to go into the museum. Going through some stuff recently, I came across this, and I knew that both players signed through the mail. So I thought, why not send this off and get it signed? And so both of them got it, signed it. They both looked great. Came back, the auto was a 10. The ticket, 2, whatever. The one thing I would say is I want to say that Eckersley, if he's $30, whatever to sign, whatever the cost is, I threw in an extra 10 for him to include a Hall of Fame inscription. And I knew that Molitor would do inscriptions for extra. But Eckersley came back with no inscription, kept the money, so that's fine. But I didn't want to have just Molitor's Hall of Fame inscription, so I just decided to keep them both off. The ticket and everything itself explains what it is. I just thought it would add a little bit to it. And, but because Eckersley didn't include the Hall of Fame, I decided to leave Molitor's out. So, still think it came back looking really good. It is kind of funny how, it's Molitor and Eckersley, and you've got like an Angels helmet and a Yankees jersey and whatever, but, whatever. That's the way that those tickets are made. So, pretty excited about that one. All right, we got 2 more here. This one, I sent a lot of stuff to Molitor at once. So, this is from his number retirement from Milwaukee. I came across this ticket at a rummage sale and snagged this up, and then was able to get that signed. So the ticket being an 8, pretty good, and being a full, and then also his signature is on there. So pretty cool. And suddenly I've got a lot more Molitor signed things than normal. Last one here, I showed you my Yount 3000 stub earlier. This one is a hole, and I got the inscription on there. I took this to one of the local sports cards places that does all the signings for Brewers and Packers and Bucks, and got this taken care of. Came back as a 10-10. I bought this stub at a rummage sale too. It was still in the ticket envelope. Got him to put 3,000. I actually requested 3,000 hits, and at $40 for the inscription. You think that they could write it all out, but $10 per character. A little bit steep. I suppose I could have complained and gotten half the inscription money back or whatever, but what's the point of that? So still has 3,000. Obviously, the slab explains it too. But regardless, 10-10 on that. Super stoked on. Like I said, I was at that game. One of my favorite games I've been to. And so happy to have that in there. And I think we're already at the 20-minute mark. So I'm going to just kind of fly through these other ones. The tickets are fun to explain. But, for autographs, I don't need a whole lot of explanation. I got this Bob Uecker. Came back as a 10. He's recently passed away. So, won't be doing any more signings, obviously. And he had slowed down anyway, but glad to have this one. Let's see. Jim Abbott. Now, when I sent this off, I swear that it didn't have this smudge. But, you can kind of see, I don't even know how to describe that, but it's kind of like bubbles out a little bit. But whatever. I got that card as part of a lot, and it just as like a throw-in. So either way, Jim Abbott's cool, and glad to have that in my collection here. Same with this one. I got Leroy Butler. I bought a couple Packer tickets from a guy, and he knew I was a fan, so he included this in, and got this slab from Hall of Fame enshrinement. So pretty cool. Next up, if you've watched my videos before, I'm a big fan of Matt Hoffman. As a BMX guy growing up, I pick up his cards where I can for cheap and just, hang on to them. I don't think BMX is going to pick up any more than it has, but, have that one, and it's a 10. And I'm just pretty much just trying to get as many, get Matt Hoffman cards when I can. Then I got a Canseco rookie. That came back as a 10. His signature, he signed so much now. But, he was my favorite player growing up outside of Yount, Nolan Ryan, Bo Jackson, Ken Griffey Jr. So, then I got this Juan Gonzalez. So, picked that up. Or actually got that one through the mail. It was out for well over a year before I got that back. And then Desmond Howard, Super Bowl MVP. He was the only special teams player to ever win MVP. And I sent that to ESPN, where he does College Game Day. And, I got that back, and he put in the inscription and everything. So, super cool card. He doesn't have many Packers cards. So, stoked to have that one. And then these three are from local comedian Charlie Barons. Look him up on YouTube, especially if you're from the Midwest. He does a lot of his comedy based upon that. And so got these signed. He hangs out at some of the bars that in the area, and he's kind of easy to run into. He's very approachable. I've talked to him a couple times. And he was like, yeah, if you I've got these cards or whatever, and if you ever get them signed, if you ever want them signed, let me know. So I got 3 of them signed. He did that one. And then on this one, he wrote OPE, which is like the Wisconsin, Minnesota, Midwest thing of like oops, or whoops. So OPE. And then finally, he put watch for deer, which is kind of one of his catchphrases as well. So got these, and pretty stoked about that. All right, and then just a couple more, and we're going to wrap this up. So I did it under 25 minutes. Here's another Bob Uecker. Picked this up. The B is a little faded, and then the marker seems to get better. But I got that for a steal. It was like $25-$30. And pretty much anytime I can buy Uecker stuff, I was picking it up. So I have that one. And then finally, I've got these 2 Bam Margeras. So, which aren't really anything special. I was buying a lot of BAM stuff for a while. A lot of nostalgia, I guess, with Jackass and CKY videos and that sort of thing. But, picked those up. Got those slabbed. I've got a number of those, and, I kind of move them on eBay. It was kind of like one of those things where I thought I knew the value and the market of that pretty well. I didn't realize they were going to be such slow sellers though, but that's the way the cookie crumbles, I suppose. Anyways, that's it. Appreciate you guys watching. Give a thumbs up or subscribe or leave some comments or whatever you want to do. I'm not really chasing followers, but of course, if you do want to follow, that'd be awesome. All right. We'll talk to you soon, I hope. Peace out.